Night still ruled the sky over Aluu community in River State. The streets were quiet, painted with shadows that seemed to breathe. Somewhere, dogs barked faintly. The smell of dew clung to the air, for silhouettes moved through the darkness. Young men with backpacks, unaware that their final walk had begun. Their laughter was faint, their trust unbroken. In a few hours, their names would echo across Nigeria as symbols of cruelty and disbelief. The world slept, but fate was awake, sharpening its claws. They were ordinary young men with extraordinary dreams. Ugonna abuser, calm, intelligent, first son of a proud family. Lloyd Big L Toku Mike, the rapper with booming laughter and lyrics about hope. Chiadika Byringa, creative, gentle, a lover of art and beauty. And Tekena Elkanah, cheerful, loyal, known for helping anyone in need. They studied together, ate together, and carried each other's burdens. Their friendship was forged in the fires of youthful ambition, in a city where dreams were both fragile and fierce. None of them could have imagined that their final lesson would come not from a classroom, but from a mob. Ugonna had lent some money to his friend Bright. A small amount, but enough to strain trust. Days became weeks. Calls went unanswered. On that fateful night, frustration replaced patience. Ugonna asked his close friends, Lloyd, Chiadika, and Tekena, to join him to confront Bright and collect his debt. They brought small weapons, not for violence, but as a sign of seriousness. None of them imagined that this simple act of youthful assertiveness would be mistaken for crime. It was not anger that guided them that night. It was a cry for fairness, swallowed by fate. It was 5 a.m. when they reached Bright's compound. They knocked. Inside, Bright woke with a start, fear racing through his chest. He looked out, saw 4 figures in the dark. Shadows, weapons, voices he didn't recognize in fear. Panic took over logic. His mind screamed danger before his heart could whisper reason. "Thieves!" he shouted. That single word, one desperate cry, triggered an avalanche of chaos. In seconds, neighbors stirred. Fear spread faster than truth, and a misunderstanding turned fatal. The word thieves tore through Aluu like wildfire. Men stumbled out with cutlasses, planks, and rage. No one stopped to question, they acted. The boys tried to explain, "We are students." But the crowd was already deafened by hysteria. The first rock flew, then another. Shouts filled the air. "Catch them!" Fear had turned ordinary men into executioners. And as more people poured into the street, the night turned into a living nightmare that no one could stop. They ran. Through narrow footpaths, leaping gutters, dodging stones and sticks. Each breath tore through their lungs like fire. Behind them, the roar of hundreds. Aluu had awakened, not in peace, but in bloodlust. They screamed, pleaded, stumbled, yet kept running. Dawn broke slowly, cruelly revealing the hunters and the hunted. The morning light did not bring hope. It revealed horror in full color. The chase ended in a clearing near the village center. Surrounded, exhausted, the 4 young men fell to their knees. Their voices shook as they begged, "Please, we are not thieves." But anger had consumed reason. In those eyes around them, there was no humanity left, only judgment. Some recorded with phones, others shouted curses. A few stood frozen, terrified to intervene. And in that circle of hate, innocence began to die. A man stepped forward, claiming to be a vigilante. "Let's judge them here," he declared. The mob agreed. There would be no police, no evidence, no chance of reason. The four knelt on the dusty ground as self-appointed judges shouted accusations. They came to rob. They carried guns. Lies piled upon lies. A few voices whispered, "Maybe they are innocent," but fear choked them silent. The world watched through dozens of phone cameras, but no one stopped it. The beatings began. Tekena screamed first, his voice raw, desperate. "We're students. Please." But no mercy came. Each hit landed with cruel rhythm. Ugonna's head bled. Chiadika fell to the ground. Lloyd tried to stand but was kicked down. The mob cheered as if cruelty were victory. With every strike, their bodies broke, but their spirits refused to die. The dirt turned red. The sky turned away. A man brought tires. Another poured petrol. The smell of fuel mixed with sweat and blood. Ugonna looked upward and whispered, "God forgive them." Lloyd closed his eyes and murmured his mother's name. Then came silence, the calm before madness. A spark. Flames roared alive, orange and merciless. The boys screamed, their voices piercing through the dawn as the mob cheered. Cameras kept rolling. The fire rose high, swallowing innocence and light. When the flames finally died, the silence was unbearable. Charred bodies lay still, unrecognizable, human only in outline. The air was thick with smoke and shame. Somewhere, mothers stirred in distant homes, unaware their sons would never return. The sun climbed over Aluu, shining coldly upon the ashes. The earth had witnessed another act of madness, and not even the wind dared to speak. Within hours, the horror spread. A bystander had filmed everything. The video appeared online, unfiltered and censored, unforgettable. Within minutes, it went viral. People gasped, wept, cursed, and shared. The Aluu Four were no longer just victims. They became symbols of a nation's failure. Millions watched what justice had refused to prevent. Nigeria mourned publicly, ashamed and angry. From Port Harcourt to Lagos, students marched in the streets. Justice for Aluu Four, their chants thundered. Tears mixed with fury. Vigils were held across universities, candles burning through the night. The nation demanded accountability. And for a fleeting moment, Nigeria stood united, not by tribe or class, but by shared outrage at what we had become. 19 suspects were arrested, including vigilante leaders and the man who raised the first alarm. The trials dragged for years, 2012 to 2017. Families sat through each session, clutching photos of burnt faces they could barely recognize. In July 2017, 3 men were sentenced to death by hanging. Justice came, but not healing. No verdict could undo the flames. Mrs. Toku, Lloyd's mother, trembled on national television. "I sent him to school to learn, not to die in fire." Her voice broke mid-sentence. Tekena's sister recalled begging the mob to stop. "They pushed me away. I watched him burn. The nation wept with them." These were not just personal tragedies. They were scars carved into Nigeria's conscience. The Aluu Four became more than victims. They became a warning, a mirror reflecting the dangers of mob justice, ignorance, and fear. Their story still echoes, asking one haunting question: how far will we go when fear replaces truth? Their legacy is carved not in marble, but in memory, a reminder that silence is complicity and complicity kills. Today, Aluu is quiet again. Children play where the fire once burned. Time has moved, but the soil still remembers. Each October, candles glow by the roadside, names whispered into the night wind. Ugonna, Lloyd, Chiadika, Tekena. They were not thieves. They were sons of Nigeria, consumed by the fire of our own fear. Their story endures, a plea that justice must never sleep again.